They said he was the kind of man every woman dreamed of marrying. Successful, generous, charming, a perfect gentleman. But when the police opened the freezer inside his home, the illusion of perfection shattered forever, because Mr. Perfect was a monster hiding in plain sight. This is the horrifying story of Mark Ellison, the man who fooled an entire town, a loving wife, and even the police, until the truth clawed its way to the surface. Welcome to Cold Case Stories. It began like a fairy tale. In 2012, Claire Bennett, a 29-year-old elementary school teacher from Nashville, met Mark Ellison at a charity fundraiser. He was everything she wasn't used to: confident, witty, and attentive. A successful contractor, always dressed in pressed shirts and a disarming smile. To her friends, he was the dream man. To her mother, he was the answer to her prayers. 6 months later, they were engaged. By Christmas, married. Their wedding photos looked straight out of a magazine. Golden light, perfect smiles, promises that felt unbreakable. Mark opened doors for her. He left love notes on her mirror. Everyone said, if anyone deserves a man like him, it's Claire. But love can blind even the wisest among us. And for Claire, the nightmare began quietly. It started with the little things. Mark would disappear for business trips with no warning. He'd return smelling of cologne Claire didn't wear. And when she asked, his response was always the same: calm, steady, and rehearsed. You're imagining things, babe. You worry too much. He began isolating her. He convinced her to quit her job so she could rest. He took control of their finances so she didn't have to stress. To outsiders, they were still the perfect couple. To Claire, home began to feel like a cage. Then one night, she found something strange: a second phone, hidden inside his sock drawer. When she confronted him, he smiled. It's just for work. But when she pressed further, his smile vanished. That was the first time he hit her. Over the next few months, Claire's world became smaller. Mark tracked her every move, even her texts. He installed cameras around the house for safety, but she noticed one pointing directly at her side of the bed. On the evening of June 3rd, 2015, neighbors heard shouting. A lamp shattered, a door slammed. Then, silence. The next morning, Mark told everyone Claire had gone to visit her sister in Knoxville. But her sister said Claire never arrived. 2 days later, Claire's car was found abandoned at a gas station 20 miles away. Inside the trunk was her purse, her phone, and her wedding ring. When detectives first questioned Mark, he was calm, even cooperative. He invited them into the house, made them coffee, and told them about their marital problems. But what they noticed wasn't what he said, it was what he didn't say. Detective Sarah Whitman, who led the case, recalled, he was too polished. Most husbands cry or plead for help. He looked rehearsed. A search warrant turned up nothing. At first, no blood, no signs of struggle, only a faint chemical smell in the garage freezer. When officers pried it open, they expected to find food. Instead, they found several vacuum-sealed bags filled with something heavy and dark. Inside were women's clothes, labeled by size, none belonging to Claire, and at the bottom, a silver bracelet with her initials. That was enough for an arrest. But as the investigation deepened, the story became far darker than a single murder. Detectives discovered Mark had been married before, twice. Both women had vanished. Each disappearance dismissed as a runaway spouse. He'd even collected life insurance payouts after both cases. A pattern began to emerge. charm, isolation, control, and disappearance. An FBI profiler, later called Mark Ellison, a textbook psychopath hiding behind social success. But there was still no body, no physical proof of Claire's death, until a storage unit in his name was found on the outskirts of town. When they opened it, the air turned cold. Inside were photo albums, each labeled with a woman's name. Each album contained pictures of Mark with his wives, and then, unsettlingly, photos of them sleeping, bound, or unconscious. The final album bore Claire's name. The last photo showed her face, eyes half open, bruised, dated the night she disappeared. The courtroom was packed. Journalists called it the perfect husband trial. Prosecutors painted Mark as a master manipulator, charming the public while abusing the women closest to him. The defense claimed Claire ran away to escape her own mental health struggles. But the evidence told another story. DNA from one of the missing ex-wives was found on the bracelet in the freezer. Receipts showed Mark buying industrial-strength cleaning chemicals just days before Claire vanished, and a neighbor's doorbell camera caught him dragging something wrapped in a tarp into his truck at 3:14 a.m. After 3 weeks of testimony, the jury returned in less than 4 hours, guilty on all counts. Mark Ellison was sentenced to life without parole for the murders of Claire Bennett, Emily Rhodes, and Dana Ellison, the 2 wives before her. Months later, while demolishing one of his old rental properties, workers made a gruesome discovery. Buried under the floorboards were human remains, and a box containing women's jewelry, IDs, and a note written in Mark's handwriting. It read, "They were mine. They always will be." For investigators, it confirmed what they already suspected. Mark Ellison wasn't just a killer, he was a collector, a man obsessed with control, possession, and the illusion of perfection. Claire's family started a foundation for victims of domestic manipulation called Behind the Smile. It aims to help women spot early signs of psychological abuse, the kind that hides behind charm. Detective Whitman later said, "He was the kind of man who fooled everyone because he never raised his voice in public." Evil doesn't always snarl. Sometimes it smiles. Mark remains in prison today, still claiming innocence, still writing letters to his fans. And every February, on their wedding anniversary, Claire's mother receives a blank postcard in the mail. No return address, no message, only a single printed word: mine. Evil doesn't always hide in the shadows. Sometimes it sits across the dinner table, smiling back at you. What do you think? Was Mark Ellison a calculated predator, or a man born broken from the start? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you love stories that feel too real to be fiction, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss the next episode of Cold Case Stories.